What's your creative process like? Because for people who are consistent, and one of the reasons why some people get scared about consistency and all of that is because, am I going to wake up every day and keep doing the same thing all over again? What if I run out of ideas? What if I don't know what to say? What if I don't know how to put it and all of that, right? So you now, what's your creative process that makes you really consistent?
Yeah. So I think for tomorrow, right? One of my most favorite quotes that I found out in 2021 was every move of a king is intentional, predetermined, and futuristic. I think that there are some days where I am highly elated. There are some days where I am where that flow is just overwhelming. Right? I create for days like that. Right? I trap down those ideas. So I've just come to find out that there is no stupid idea really. What makes an idea stupid is probably how it is communicated, or who is communicating it, or to whom it is communicated to.
Yo, hello guys, I welcome you to Truth Be Told podcast, the very first podcast here on YouTube. You're welcome. I'm really excited to have you here, and I hope you're going to be with us here for a very long time. So first of all, before I go ahead, I want you to just click on the subscribe button so you can always see our post, and also click on the bell up there. There's a bell up there, just click on the bell so you can always see our notifications whenever there's a new video, a new content out here. Thank you for doing that. For humanity's sake, I'm Nicholas Williams, by the way, and I'm going to be your host for you guys who are just joining. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about something really amazing. I think I'm just going to be doing 2 episodes specifically on subject like this. It's going to be a subject about creatives, yeah? And I have here with me somebody really in depth. Just as you're watching, just be ready to shout deep, sir. Just be ready to shout at your cameras, because this is going to be a very amazing ride. So here with me I have the Victor Oba here. Oh, Victor Oba. How you doing?
I feel good, sir. Thank you for having me too.
Sir.
Sir. Yeah, superstar now.
I'm really excited having you here. Thank you so much for choosing to be here. Really appreciate it. I know what it means to bring you over from the overseas down to Nigeria. I know.
It's not easy.
Let's just live the fake life. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the creative space. We'll just be touching a few things from there, and I want you to be able to pick quite a lot of things from there. Yeah, so I think I just start this way. I know one of the things people know you for, Oba, is the fact that you are consistent. Like when you see Oba on his head, like this, his forehead, you see consistency. Literally, if you know him, you tell that, I don't know, this guy, now consistency, just give him. Do you get? So I would love to ask you, because of people out there, how do you manage to stay consistent even among all odds? How do you manage to stay consistent even when do you ever feel tired? Because the way you talk about consistency, I don't think you used to feel tired.
I'm human, right? That's where it all begins. Understanding that you're human, right? And so amazingly, when people talk about consistency, so I've just started my creative journey. I started in 2020.
Yeah.
Right. So that's okay. We're in 2023, right? So that's a space of 2 years and a few days. So for someone who's very deep in consistency, will wonder and still feel like 2 years is still too small. I remember meeting one of the people that I really look up to. And I went to his office, and then he was talking about consistency, and then he said, do you know that if you're not 4 years into a thing, you're not consistent enough? Oh, wow. That's when I realized that consistency has ladders, right? But then the fact that people can just look up to you, it's also beyond the fact that you're doing the same thing over and over again. Consistency is not necessarily repetition, right? Consistency is how deep.
Not necessarily consistent.
Yeah, because you can be doing the same thing over and over again and you're not growing.
Sure.
You can be doing the same thing over and over again and you are not experiencing results in that thing you're doing. So consistency also comes with results, right? It comes with growth, right? The evidence of the result of what you're doing must be palpable. It should be seen. We can know that. You are celebrating Victor Oba's consistency because it has results.
Exactly.
Right?
Sure.
That's why everybody's saying consistency. Sure. So what keeps me consistent? I have also just come to realize that as you grow in whatever career that you decide to throw or whatever path that you decide to go on, you'd find out that you would find different reasons to stay consistent at different times in your life. There was a night like that when I felt down and somebody sent me a message from a post that I had made in 2020 that I felt like did not even have a lot of views, right? And the person just said, this literally just opened up my eyes, right? And the fact that I could be an agent of transformation in someone else's life, it gave me a reason to, just do this for one more day. Do this for one more week. Try this for 3 more months. Do this for 1 more year, right? So consistency is not, most times there's no overarching reason, just one reason why a man should be consistent. I tell you, you will get ripples of reasons why you should stay consistent. Yeah. Money can make you stay consistent, which is not a bad thing. You know how when people talk about money and they're like, nah, don't let money be the reason. Money can make you stay consistent because
the child of the devil.
You will stay at it. If wealth is one of the reasons, if wealth is one of the results of what you're doing, you would keep at it.
Sure.
Sometimes it's not just wealth. Sometimes it's relationship, right? The quality of people that your work has exposed you to can keep you at it, right? Sometimes it's not the relationship. Sometimes you just sit back and you just realize, when I started, it was not like this, right? The results of your journey can make you stay consistent because you know how you were when you started. It wasn't all glitz and glam, right? Even now, it's not all glitz and glam, but you know how far I have come. Sometimes when I calculate the level of my influence also, it makes me consistent. Humbly speaking, you cannot deny the fact that you are writing a story in people's heart. You don't want to stop when you have not even started. Yeah. Right? So these are some of the reasons that make me stay consistent. And again, I have surrounded myself with people who want the best from me every time. Yeah. The expectation is high. Actually. And the expectation is not pressure. Right? There's some expectation that looks like pressure. This is not, it's not, nobody's pressuring you. It's just that you have become a product of results and people are looking up to you. Sure. Right? So, but for this moment as it is, I am consistent because there are lots of people that are on my shoulders, right? Some people are looking up to me and becoming different versions of themselves. I think I like that, right? Just being a voice. Yeah. Because if you don't speak out, some people would never be heard. Yeah. Right? If you don't speak up, some stories would never be told. Right? There's somebody right now that is currently watching this and is giving themselves, they feel motivated, they feel inspired to start. Maybe I'm the reason why that person would do that. So So consistency is not like a course anymore. It's a blessing. Makes sense. To stay consistent. So Makes sense. So and I think I need to live long enough to see the results of my. You understand? I need to live long enough to see. No, really, you can't plant, right? And not, if you have planted corn. Yeah. You have to live long enough to enjoy the ripple effect of that corn. Right? Of course, there are some things you would plant and necessarily you are not the one that would reap it. But then you have to stay long enough. There's some things that we do, they are transgenerational. Yeah. There's some things that we do, they are for you, right? So good or bad, you have to live long enough to enjoy the ripple effect of your deeds. Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons I'm staying consistent. Yeah.
So in as much as you stay consistent all this while and all of that, what's your creative process like? Because, for people who are consistent, and one of the reasons why some people get scared about consistency and all of that is because, will I wake up every time to be doing the same thing every time of my life? Yeah. Am I going to wake up every day and keep doing the same thing all over again? What if I run out of ideas? What if I don't know what to say? What if I don't know how to put it and all of that, right? So you now, what's your creative process that makes you really consistent?
Yeah, so I think for tomorrow, right? One of my most favorite quotes that I found out in 2021 was every move of a king is intentional predetermined, and futuristic. So there are certain 2022 years, Victor Oba 2022.
Victor Oba 2022.
If someone else is quote it and they don't mention my name, call me. Right? But I think that there are some days where I am highly elated. There are some days where I am where that flow is just overwhelming. Right? I create for days like that. Right? I trap down those ideas. So I've just come to find out that there is no stupid idea really. What makes an idea stupid is probably how it is communicated. Or who is communicating it, or to whom it is communicated to. So these three reasons can make an idea look stupid. But ideas really are just ideas are ideas, right? What we do with them is what makes it grand, right? So there are some days when I have come to honor my thoughts, right? That's why I don't let them fly. I don't let my thoughts fly. I feel like if I'm thinking this, in as much as it might not be for the now, it could be for tomorrow, so I trap them down, right? And I don't bother myself to create. I create from conversations. I create from questions. I create from inquiries. I create from just studying my environment. There's no pressure. The ideas must not necessarily come from me.
From place of pressure.
That's another thing, right? We like to author our ideas.
I'm the one that said
I'm the one that said it, just like I said, Victor.
Nicholas,
but don't author that one.
that one.
Right? Not all ideas would naturally come from you. Your perspective to an idea can make an idea even more powerful than the first person that said it. Right? So that's why, like, you see a lot of times in my comment section, and I'm just reading what somebody said, and I'm like, of course, I started the conversation, but this person has taken it to a far different and, this person has taken it to a deeper level, right? So my creative process is really fluid. I let it flow, right? There's no expectation that I must create 10 contents in a day. No, there's no law like that. In fact, I've come to find out that if I get an idea and I try to, one of the tests or one of the litmus tests that my ideas passes through, that my content passes through is it going to be evergreen? Would I watch this in the next 6 months and not regret that I made this? Right? So I try to balance my content from that perspective. If I am comfortable with that, then I'll let it fly. Right? So my creative process is not rigid.
Not scary.
It's not rigid. And the question as regards people asking themselves that, should I be doing this every day? There are some things you just have to do every day. Every day. For example, I read every day. And most times when people say you read, it's not necessarily like sitting down in front of it's not like getting a book and reading like as per se. But you can read people. You can study people. You can read an environment. You can even read the creative industry that you are in. For example, I think I saw a post some days ago how somebody was foretelling the things that would happen to African creatives this year. That's another form of reading. Someone is foretelling, and honestly, from what he said, I literally think about 80% of what he said is true, because these are things that I've also thought about, right? So I think that understand that sometimes when you need to ask yourself, is this something that you need to do over and over again? There are some things you have to do over and over again, even when you are seeing results. These are things that makes your creative process, right? It's not necessarily, it's how we think that, you tap a little bit of results and then you feel like you have arrived, right? There's some things that have made you can't stop
it,
right? It's part of who you are already, right? So showing up makes sense. Showing up at some points would become part of who you are, right?
Okay, still speaking about the creative space here, I would like to dive into something. I heard, like, for instance, you were talking about you read a post about somebody foretelling what's going to happen to creatives and all of that, which is really amazing, right? And recently you did like a video talking about Christian creatives, right? And I really love that video. I really love the heart of that video. I'd like to ask you this here. For creatives who are believers here, what can you really say about them having a fee? Because why I'm saying this is because some people actually see it as a problem when they hear believers say, oh, okay, we want to do this thing and we will need you to drop so amount. They see it as a problem. Like, no. Once they get money like this, they'll be like, no, you must be a devil child. Why will you like money so much more than salvation? Do you get? So what will you say about creatives having a fee? Because, for instance, not just in the creative space now, not just in our space now, even people who sing, gospel artists who sing songs, who are in the secular space, who like have concerts and stuffs like that, when they had a fee into their craft, there's always a problem. What do you think the problem is? Is it because people are trying to be too religious about it or something? I know that you're a spiritual person as well. That's what I'm asking you.
I mean, I think a few days ago when that conversation was, really loud on the internet.
I think that was like two weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. I think how that like Christian gospel artists are charging
putting a fee on
for table and I didn't say anything about it because really I don't really like to talk about stuff that I cannot really stand for, right? But here's how I would say it. Let's say in the past decade, or let's say in the past 2 decades, you would always hear how people would say as poor as a church rat. Yeah. I mean, I grew up hearing that statement, as poor as church rat. But now, poverty is almost eradicated in the church. You would barely hear people say as poor as church rat anymore, right? And you know how we are in
the rats don't fat already.
You know how we are in a dispensation where you go to the average church and the ambience of the church can lead you to worship. I'm not saying worshippers themselves. The ambience of the church, the way the church is set up. Now there's a lot of lighting. Now there's a lot of AC. Now there's a lot of the chandelier in church. It's the ambience alone. It's to tell us that we're not poor anymore. And the truth is until we actually embrace that understanding. Do you think that God frowns at money? Or do you think that God frowns at wealth? There's a place in the Bible, I think the 2nd chapter of Haggai, verse 8, it says, He's the owner of silver and gold. Right? If my father owns money, right? Why should I hesitate to make money if my father owns it? Right? I don't think that the problem is money in itself. The problem is what we do with money.
The motive.
The motive behind the money, right? Our perspective of money. So honestly, when you ask people as regards putting a fee, I for one, if I'm not going to charge you by coming to your church and doing something, I just appreciate the place of honor. If I'm not going to put a price that you are inviting me and I just enjoy the concept of honor. I enjoy it because honor is a kingdom culture, right? So even if there's no fixed price, nobody is telling you to. I mean, these people, you should also understand the place of excellence, right? If you and that's one of the things about the African concept. How we always look at Africans are quick to celebrate just one person. The superstar. For example, if you invite, which name should we use? If we invite, I don't want to use a name, but if you invite a gospel artist.
No, let's use my name.
Okay, let's use your
name. I don't blow.
If we invite a gospel artist, there's a 90% chance that the person is coming with his keyboardist.
True, exactly.
The person is coming with his band.
Equipment, stuff like that.
That's excellence. Right? Because as much as, you have a worship team, at the same time, there are people that I flow with. There are people who have understood, the language of my music over time, right? So if we are looking at, you want to celebrate me, I also have people that I need to sort. And I feel it should be normal.
It should be normal, actually, because it's not like that in the Western world. I feel like it's more in Africa.
I mean, if we're not even going to compare the Nigerian Christian music space with, the Westerners, within ourselves, I'll tell you, 80% of the people we celebrate in the secular music were products of the church.
Actually,
some of our big artists actually passed through the church in form of either they drummed or they played the guitar or they passed through the church. The church has been producing too many superstars, but we have wasted them because we don't know how to retain them. right?
True.
So for me, I think as a body, money is not going to be our problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's make the money. When we
Yeah.
make the money,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be easy. And especially when you know how amazing your father is.
Yeah.
And you know that the reason to which you are spending this money, he would bless you in multiple fold. I'll give a very funny example. There was a time in my life when, sometimes when I'm in rides, around Lagos, I'm going somewhere, I just look out through the window and I'm just grateful to God. There was a time in my life when I could not afford a bike. In fact, when I'm going out, I don't think about bikes because I already know that I'll use my leg. So I don't really think about the fact that I want to enter a ride or get a bike or something. But that's not where we are anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things that helped me transit, and I can tell you that it has a lot to do with the mindset.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you that. So I remember back in the day when one of the things that transitioned that, when I'll ask one of these bike men that, I'm going somewhere, and they'll say, it's 500 naira. And I'm like, it's not a problem. I'll pay. I did that over time, and the money was always there to pay. So first off, I had to settle with my mind that money was not a problem. So let's accept that money is not a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you see money as a problem, you will not be able to give it.
You won't be comfortable having conversations like that. Wow, thank you for that. Oba, I would like to ask you one question, right? What can you say about people who are gifted, right? They are talented. I think I've asked you this question personally before, but I know there are people out there who are probably confused with questions like this because they don't actually know the answer. So because of that, there's no direction, yeah? What do you think about people who are gifted and talented? They are skillful. They could do a lot of things at a time, but they really can't really make a decision that, okay, this is the way I'm going to go. They just want to do everything at once. And when they don't do everything at once, they just lie low and feel like, how am I going to do it? Focusing on one thing is pretty hard. So they feel like they can do everything all at a time because they are gifted and all of that. And, it's not really for some people like me back then. It wasn't really my fault because I felt like, so what's not the use of what the gift God has given me? How am I going to use them? Say God will not judge me and all of that. You feel there are people who still have this kind of mindset out there. So what can you say about people like that? How can they juggle it? How can they help themselves if they are in this scenario?
I mean, the easy word is how people say that they are multi-potentialite, right? I think in an article that I wrote recently that was sponsored by Land Express, I mentioned how that one of the things that helped my page grow up was how I saw my page as, I'm also a multi-potentialite. I saw my page as a restaurant that had different dish, right? So the thing is, it bases on two things. First off, it is based off on, there are some certain gifts that you have that are seasonal. Right? The expression of a gift might not really be the right time to express a certain gift, right? Yeah. Understand first that some gifts are seasonal. Then two, do you have the capacity to run on more than one gift? Right? So gifts are capacity sensitive. For example, if you remember that David was not called to the palace because he killed Goliath. He was called because he needed to come play instrument for the king. Right? So some certain gifts are seasonal. But I would always advise, in your secret place per se, it's important that you hone all of these gifts. Right? Just hone all of them. Be good at it. The truth is, some gifts would make you express it better than the other. Right? For example, if you're a guitarist, you could sing and you need money. Right? You might not really be in the choir, but you are getting paid for being a guitarist. Right? So it's depending on capacity. It's depending on understanding what time should I express this gift. Right? And also depending on what gifts should I be making money from. That's another thing. You can't tell me that you want to do everything at the same time. You need to understand the priorities of every gift. Some gifts are seasonal. It's just for a season. It's not something that there is no high demand on it, right? But it's nice that you know how to do it, right? So when there are certain opportunities that fits you into that gap, then you can reveal yourself that this is what I can also do, right? But we live in a generation where the world is paying specialists than generalists. People are paying people who know exactly this is what they do than being able to do everything at the same time, right? But I still tell people, if you can do more than one thing, be good. Try to, train yourself at every of this capacity.
Yeah.
But then ask yourself, which gifts should I be expressing now? Do I have the capacity? Like top 3 gifts, which capacity do I have? And you also need to understand that you need time to invest, right? Which is more important because you will be dedicating time to invest on all of these gifts.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the 3 top gifts. I always tell people 3. I pick 3 for myself, right? 3 top gifts that you know you want to invest time and energy in. Understanding the time, understanding the capacity, and which one do you want to make money from, and which one do you want to be passionate about. So that when you are doing it, you will not be frustrated because you are not making money from it.
True.
Meanwhile, you should have focused one on what you should get wealth from, right? So I think it's understanding these 4 things.
Amazing. Wow, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So this is the end of this amazing episode with the Victor Oba. Man, I hope you guys enjoyed this so much. Why will you not enjoy it? I did you a very big favor. I know you enjoyed it already. Victor Oba, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much
really
for having me.
amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, so this is the end of this podcast. Like I said, do well to subscribe, do well to hit the notification button so you get to see our post over and over again. This was amazing. I love to see your comments. I love to see you share out there with everyone. Don't be the only person who has not subscribed from your village, right? Everybody in your village has already subscribed to this YouTube channel. It's remaining just you, so just make sure that you do the same. So catch you in the next episode. Have an awesome time. Blessings.